Well, it's officially been 136 days since a military wife was found unalived at Kaneohe Bay in Hawaii, and the military has yet to release her name. And why? Well, because this is the same military command that was in command when 3 years ago, Dana Alotaibi was unalived by her husband on the H3 highway in front of horrified onlookers when he used a kitchen utensil to unalive her in a gruesome way. And now this was significant because Dana had a very large online presence and she'd made several videos that thousands of people saw where she talked about how she'd gone to the military over and over again, talking about how her husband was DVing her and the military did nothing.
And had maybe like 30 situations of him putting his hands on me, and every time I report it to his command or his higher ups, nothing is being done. Nothing at all. It does not matter if there's witnesses, if other people have called the police and told them what's happened. Nothing is ever being done. And I've had situations where he's hit me, times where he slapped me like 30 times in the face until like my face was like throbbing. He's choked me unconscious like 4 or 5 times. He's when I would tell him like I'm calling the police, he'd take the phone from me. If he'd start hitting me, I would tell him like stop, or I'm gonna call the cops, or I'm gonna call your command. And then he'd be like, well, if you're gonna end me, and then he'd start choking me, and he'd be like, well, I'm gonna end you. And like he's choked me, and I've tried to get his hands off my throat, and I just remember like passing out and then waking up on the sofa. He's just done all these ugly things to me. And then why was it so many situations where his higher ups were involved, police was involved, and nothing has happened to him? When he gets in trouble, he gets kicked out the house, and that's it. He never gets paperwork. He never gets even kicked out or told like, okay, well, you're gonna lose rank or anything like that. Nothing. And it like frustrates me, and it's haunting me, like all the incidents that he's hit me and done horrible things to me.
And she said he's going to unalive me, and she begged for help and she got none. I'm Tressa Brady. I'm the podcast host of The Wounds That Do Not Heal. You can find it on wherever you listen to your podcast. And I cover DV in the military and the military's corruptions and cover-ups of DV as a survivor myself. I have been pleading to try and get the woman's name who was unalived on September 1st of 2024 because the military refuses to release it, and they refuse to release to large journalist outlets as well. They can't find it, and no one will say what's happened. But what I have now found from inside sources who will remain anonymous is the woman's name. And I know now that the husband is being charged with felony attempted murder. He is being held in confinement, whether that means he is in the military brig or he is at the barracks with someone supervising him. I'm not sure. I found the woman's name and I'm going to share that now because she should be remembered and she should be known, and her family should be outraged that this has happened. And again, it's alleged that her husband did this, but I've seen this happen over and over again around US bases. There's a woman who was unalived in October in Japan, and the military refuses to release her name. And this one is, perhaps even more of a reason the military is burying this one is because when this woman was unalived, it was at the time that they've been searching for Misha Johnson, beautiful young woman in Hawaii. It was the time they're searching for her body and her babies because she was pregnant and she went missing in July of 2024. Her husband has since been charged with taking her life and the babies, and they've been searching for the body. And while they're searching for the body, this woman's unalived, I believe, by her husband. I want to put her picture up now. Her name is Ruby Araceli Tenorio. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And she was 38 years old. She passed away suddenly and tragically on September 1st. And Ruby was a mother, a daughter, and a sister. She was born in a small town in Mexico, but raised in the States. She grew up in Kentucky, but mostly Tennessee, it says. She lived in North Carolina, California, Texas, and Hawaii, and her life was suddenly cut short in Hawaii. and she leaves behind two children. I'm not going to share their names, but they were 8 years old and 5 years old. And she dedicated her life to her children. Her children meant the world to her. She loved them and cared for them with all of her heart. She was talented in many ways. She loved photography, sewing, and crafts, cooking, and caring for plants. She came from a big family and always shared pictures and videos of her and her children. She leaves behind her parents, her siblings, and of course, her beautiful children. Her parents are incredibly proud of her and will always love her. She also leaves behind several aunts, uncles, and cousins. And her obituary says that without Ruby, there is a deep void inside of her family that can never be filled. Her sudden and tragic death leaves everyone heartbroken and devastated. And I am included in that because I have been screaming about DV in the military and how it's getting swept under the rug all of the time. Because if the military addresses it, they lose manpower, right? And they're about the greater good. They need soldiers to go to war. They need service members. And this is an epidemic. And when I was married to a special forces service member, I went to the military over and over again saying I was worried for my life. And there are programs and there's family advocacy. And do you know what happened when I went to family advocacy? When I went in there and said, I am afraid for my life, they said, hang on, we're going to get you pamphlets for a safe house. And the next thing I hear a few minutes later is my ex husband's voice in the next room. They called him. They called his first shirt, who told him to get down there and get your wife in line. One of the scariest moments of my life. And this is just happening over and over again. And the wives are fed up all over military bases, but specifically in Hawaii right now, they are mad. They are mad. And I'm being told by those wives that their husbands who are officers, who this is, they're being told, just let it go when DV is being brought to them. Something has to change. They haven't even found Misha and her child yet, as far as I know. And this woman now, and then the woman in Japan, this is happening all of the time. What is the military going to do? You can never bring back these women, but how are you going to start preventing this? Because this is out of control. I want Ruby's name out there. Please share this video. And if you know her family, please have them get in contact with me if they'd like to. I'd like to share Ruby's story and more about her on my podcast and honor her, and also spread awareness about DV in the military. And again, this is alleged. Her husband has not been charged yet. Um, but let's face it, this is happening over and over again. So please share this video. And yeah, God bless you, Ruby. May you rest in peace.